Time to do another QuickBooks Online tutorial, this time focusing on creating invoices with progress invoicing and retainage for ideally construction, those of you that are in the construction industry. What this will involve in this demo is setting up the chart of accounts, setting up the projects, and learning how to understand the retainage. So retainage would be something like where a bank might withhold 10% of your invoicing until they see that the job is done. And then we can track that in QuickBooks using this technique. First thing I want you to do is go to your account and settings and ensure that you have in the sales section, you want to ensure that you've turned on progress invoicing. That's super crucial to do, which allows us to create an estimate. Let's say it's $200,000 estimate, and then we're going to use that to create smaller invoices until we get to 200,000. So the first invoice might be 50,000, and we would have to have the ability to show a series of invoices, and I'll go back to the original estimate. Okay. So that's important you have that turned on. The second thing that we want to do is we need to learn about the retainage and the product services section. So if we go to the product service section, I've seen a lot of folks with lots of product services, but they kind of get mixed up. So make sure that you understand the difference with the income and expense accounts. The easy way to do that would be to show the income and expenses here, and you can sort them, right? And we want to have one that's retainage, but also there's expense account as well. The easy one would be you set up QuickBooks and you're able to set up your sales account, and you have some kind of work that you do that needs to be come in, that needs to be revenue, that needs to be an income account. Occasionally you might have products that you buy things from, such as purchasing materials and all that, and you would make sure that you've turned that on and you have this linked to your cost of goods sold or an expense account. But for retainage, I'm going to jump back to the chart of accounts real quick here. Retainage, we are going to see the retainage as an asset. And so think of retainage as accounts receivable, but just in a different wording. That's what I want you to be thinking about. So anytime you create an invoice in QuickBooks, it's accounts receivable. But when we want to separate this special, 10% holdings and all that, let's use this method of creating a separate retained account, create it as other current assets, and the detail type can be retainage. Once you do that, then you can create the product afterwards and link it to it, which I've done already. Let's do a demo. I'm going to go create a quick customer. Okay, let's just call it, how about Johnny Doe? Nothing's going on with Johnny Doe. Now we're going to create the project, and let's imagine we're doing construction. Johnny Doe has a home on 123 Main Street. So we'll call the project 123 Main Street. I'm going to head over to projects, click new project. You might not see it in the video, but it's in the upper right hand corner, new project. And I'll name it 123 Main Street. Link it to John Doe. Put in the email, put in any information you want. The project can either be not started, in progress, completed, canceled. Awesome. Okay. So here we go. We're at a blank slate here. Brand new project, zero income, zero cost. And just so we understand some project cost here, let's create a quick bill. And we'll just put it under, we receive an invoice, bill comes in, we'll just call that supplies and materials, cost of goods sold, 20,000. And we need to link it to that project. So we look at our list here, and remember it's 123 Main Street. There we go. Now we've got the 20,000 costs. Now it's time to create an estimate for money coming in here. So an estimate is non-posting, meaning that it doesn't hit your books on any financial situation. Okay. So we're going to be invoicing the project 123 Main Street. It will be for services. We will do 100,000. And then we will just straight up hit the save button here. So we'll just call 100,000 is going to be phase one. Phase two, we're going to do another services, and we expect on the second draw for phase two, we expect that to be 35,000. Okay. And then lastly, we'll have phase three, and that's going to end with 20,000. Okay. Here we go, guys. We've got our estimate to the customer. We email it out. If they approve it, we should get an email that says that Johnny approved it. And then we can go into QuickBooks and we can then accept it and turn that into the ability to create our first invoice off that, which would be accounts receivable and hit the book. So when we hit convert to invoice, this will allow us to do a custom amount. So I'm going to do manual entry in each line. All right. And so we're not going to invoice 2 or 3 at this point. We're only going to invoice the full 100,000. So we either can do percent, we can do 100% of that, or we could have put an amount and do that however you desire. Okay. So here's our new invoice. I'm going to hit save. All right. Now we've got 100,000 income, 20,000 cost, 80,000 profit. We go into a quick report here. We'll see 120. Now that's accrual, so be careful. We haven't been paid any of that. So if we switch to cash, we're going to see nothing, because I haven't paid the $20,000 bill either. So that's the difference, cash and accrual. So I'm going to open up that invoice. Now the bank is going to only give us 90,000. That's just their way of saying holding it. They're kind of protecting their interests, making sure this work gets done here. So what we'll do is we'll go down to the next line item and we'll add that retainage. And this is something that we don't necessarily have to show the bank, but we're gonna go in and we're gonna type minus 10,000, which our goal is to turn our invoice into a 90,000 invoice, just like internally, right? We're expecting to get a check from the bank for 90,000, and we would then open up this invoice and receive it like normal. And I'll just call your attention to this little trash can right here. Eventually, when this project's done, that bank's going to give us the $10,000. And at that said point of time, we could come in here and hit the delete icon here, which will reopen this invoice and turn it into 10,000. So that's one way to do it. I like that method, but there's other ways here, but that's going to be the method I'll share with you in a moment here. Okay. All right, save. Let's go ahead and get a wire in. I'm going to click receive payment. We'll just do a quick wire, undeposited funds. I recommend undeposited funds because you never know what shows up in the bank might be, $89,985 because they took a $15 fee. We would be able to do that bookkeeping in the bank deposit. So our project is going on here. Now let's go back to our projects. Take a look to see how we're doing. Got 120,000, so we're right on target here. But here's where it gets a little tricky. Where do we see the $10,000 of retainage? So what we're going to need to do is head over to the balance sheet and look for the line item for retainage. And we are up to $32,000 as of today in customer retainage that's owed to our company. So here's our big accounts receivable, and here's our small retainage right there. I'll come back later and click on that and show you how to see which customers that equal, that kind of stuff here. But let me just go ahead and proceed and go back and finish up another invoice. I want to show you how this progress invoicing works. So we head back to the estimate. We're able to then come over here and convert. Okay, notice right now we've got our data set here showing what's already happened. I'm going to click convert to invoice. And in this case, I'll do a manual entry for each line. Notice how, remember if we started with phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1's just gone because that's already been used up. So that's kind of a neat feature is as you keep converting these invoices, it's going to drop line items off that are no longer necessary. I'm going to do 100% of phase 2. Okay, and then we're going to see that. Oh, I must have had it on amount. I need to split this to percent. That's always tricky because it's a, there we go. Okay, let's save. I know it says exceed limit. I think it just was a little glitchy right there because I had two different things on it. Save, refresh, it should be good. Yeah. Leave without saving. Okay, I'm gonna head on back. Projects. There we go, it did it. So we can see that we created that second invoice here. 2680 for 35,000. Okay. So send that to the bank. The bank is not going to send us that full amount. They're going to retain 10%. So I need to go in internally, turn that retainage in here. We can go ahead and do minus them. Awesome. Now close, and I'm going to head back to the balance sheet and we'll look at a really cool trick on how to calculate who's who within that retainage. So we can drill down by clicking on there. Then what we would need to do is we would need to group by customer. We would have to come over here, group it by customer, which would be the project, because projects always deal with customers. And you can see where we're at here. Now I've got it set for this year, but if you want to see everything, because there might be things from last year, you click all dates. And then what that will do is it will show you everybody here that we have. Bob's renovation for the office, these projects here, and all that. Okay, so let's say that the bank is going to give you the retainage. So what we would do is just come in here, open up the item. They just sent you that $10,000. You would go in, you would hit the trash can. When that trash can is clicked on this and saved, we no longer have a closed invoice. This has it as a partial. We see we've received 90,000. So what I'm going to do is going to go into the other one and close that out because they're going to send us, in theory, they'd send you all the retainage at once, assuming they do that. So they go into this guy here. And for time's sake, I won't convert the other invoice. We'll just go in, delete this, save. And then whichever invoice I have open, that's fine. I can then go ahead and receive payment and check off two invoices at once. So I've received both retainages here. I was like, why is that number so high? I forgot. I never received the full amount, but let's imagine, that came in great. So they're both coming in. That's fine. Everything's closed out here. Awesome. Lastly, those estimates, how can you run a report to see if you forgot to invoice any remaining thing? So as right now, that project to Johnny Doe, if you're paying attention, we haven't invoiced the full amount. So what we can do is we head back to the reports and in the search box type estimates, and we're looking for the estimates and progress invoicing summary by customer. This will be a really great tool to track which one. So I'm going to look at the Johnny 123 project. And you can see that we're at 87.10%. So our total invoice should have been 155. We're only at 135. So we've got $20,000 left to do that with. you can see this guy here, Lucas Pacioli on Eagles Wings, $75,000 amount, and we've invoiced 75,000. So they're at 100%. Zero is left remaining. So this is just kind of a neat way to run a dashboard on all of your customers or projects. And if there's a colon mark, basically colons will separate your customer versus the project and all that. Okay. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. This will help you out with construction industries when you've got large invoices that need retainage to be tracked. Easily do that with QuickBooks Online Plus or Advanced using the project feature.